March 11, 2026, San Juan. The cameras are already rolling and the story has not even started yet. Because this is not just a comeback. After 239 days off the court, Caitlin Clark is stepping back into the spotlight. Not into comfort, but into conflict. Two systems, two philosophies, one player who does not fit neatly into either. And over the next 7 days, something unexpected is about to happen. Not a highlight reel, not a redemption arc, a breakdown of coaching, of control, of what happens when the most dangerous player in the game is forced to play someone else's version of basketball.
Communicates her thoughts very, very well. She is so incredibly marketable.
5 games, 2 approaches, 1 undeniable outcome. And by the end of it, the real question will not be whether Caitlin Clark belongs at the top. It will be why anyone ever tried to hold her back. Clark's bench debate. Game 1, USA vs Segal. From the jump, the coaching plan is clear. But before we get into the X's and O's, I need you to understand what this moment meant for Caitlin Clark personally. This is a player who went from being the most talked about athlete in women's sports. The woman who sold out arenas, moved television ratings, and made the WNBA appointment viewing for millions of people who had never watched before.
Caitlin Clark, the all-time leading scorer in major college basketball history. Queen Caitlin.
To sitting on a training table for 8 months. 4 separate muscle injuries during her sophomore season. A groin strain, a bone bruise, one setback after another. The fever ruled her out for the remainder of the 2025 season in September. She was 23 years old and her body had simply said enough. So when she walks onto that court in San Juan, it is not just a basketball game. It is a statement, a comeback. And she herself said before the tournament that she was not expecting star treatment. She told reporters, and this is a direct quote, that she was not going to come out here and be the star player, that it is not how USA basketball works. She said it with humility. She said it like someone who was genuinely grateful to be healthy and playing again. Remember that because humility makes everything that happens next even more remarkable. Head coach Kara Lawson, Duke's head coach, a 2008 Olympic gold medalist as a player.
It's an amazing moment for both of us to be teammates on the 2008 Olympic team and now be coaching together.
Handpicked by managing director Sue Bird to lead this new era of USA basketball, sends out her starting 5. Caitlin Clark is not in it. Clark comes off the bench. Now, on paper, this makes a certain kind of sense. Lawson is coaching this team for the very first time in a competitive setting. She has said publicly that this tournament is about building chemistry, experimenting with lineups, and leveraging the depth of her roster. She has a squad loaded with all-stars and Olympic gold medalists, giving everyone minutes, rotating groups in and out, seeing what combinations work. That is textbook coaching for a qualifying tournament where the team has already punched its ticket to the World Cup. So Clark comes off the bench. She checks in midway through the first quarter as part of a 5-player substitution wave. And then something extraordinary happens. In 19 minutes of play, Caitlin Clark posts 17 points and 12 assists, a double-double in a debut.
Caitlin Clark's 9 assists. Caitlin Clark hits the deck after a 3-point attempt.
Off the bench. She records the second most assists ever in a FIBA Women's World Cup qualifying game. A record that had been sitting there for years untouched was broken in her very first outing wearing USA across her chest. The team wins 110-46 and Lawson herself praises the bench unit, calling them the group that gave the team an offensive spark. She specifically highlights Clark's group as the unit that took things to another level. That is a direct quote from the head coach. So far so good. A dominant win, a historic debut, a coach who seems to recognize the firepower she has. And then Game 2 arrives and Clark is back on the bench. This is where it starts to get interesting. The offense in these first 2 games under Lawson is deliberate. Slow half-court sets, veterans handling the ball, the pace of a team that is not trying to run anybody off the floor. There is a philosophy behind it. A philosophy that involves Clark playing off the ball, fitting into a system, one operating within a structure that was built before she arrived. And look, philosophies are fine. Every coach has one. But here is the problem. You have a player who just shattered records in her first game. A player whose entire game is built on pace, on quick reads, on seeing the floor before the defense can react. When you slow that down, you do not just limit Clark. You make the entire offense worse because now defenses can set up. Now they can take away passing lanes. Now they can scheme against you instead of scrambling to keep up. The box scores from those first 2 games tell the story. Team USA is winning.
Caitlin Clark on the move, over to Billings. Billings on the left-hand side, off the glass, and how dangerous is Team USA?
They are too talented not to be. But the offense is functional, never explosive, never getting into that rhythm where the other team simply cannot keep up. The Puerto Rico problem. Game 2, USA vs Puerto Rico. March 12, 2026. The host nation's crowd is loud and hungry for a fight. And for Caitlin Clark, this game is about to become a different kind of test. 24 hours earlier, Clark had torn through her senior national team debut against Senegal. 17 points, 12 assists, the second most dimes ever recorded in FIBA Women's World Cup qualifying history. She did it in 19 minutes off the bench after not playing a competitive game for 239 days. She said afterward that she was just trying to get everyone else involved. The basketball world thought, okay, she is back. And then Puerto Rico decided to make sure it would not happen again.
Missed those 5 games with a quad injury, but definitely looked like she did not miss a step at all. Clark tied her career high for 3-pointers.
If you are not a basketball person, here is what a box and 1 defense means. 4 defenders play zone, covering areas of the floor, and 1 defender is assigned to shadow a single player everywhere she goes. That single player is Caitlin Clark. Puerto Rico has designed their entire defensive identity for this game around removing 1 person from the equation. It is the ultimate sign of respect and the ultimate test of how the offense around that player responds. The answer in this case is not well enough. Clark comes off the bench again, still not starting, still rotating in as part of a 5-player substitution wave. And the rhythm that defined the Senegal game is gone. She finishes with 8 points, 2 assists, and 3 rebounds in just over 18 minutes. She shoots 2 of 6 from the field and 1 of 5 from 3-point range. By her own stratospheric standards, this is a struggle. Now, context matters. Team USA still wins 91-48. Paige Buckers leads with 16 points, Angel Reese posts a double-double, 10 points and 13 rebounds.
Reese through contact gets it done, and Angel Reese has had herself a night. 10 points, 13 rebounds.
The depth is absurd. They are never in danger. But here is the thing. Winning by 43 is not the point. The point is what the game reveals about the system. Because when Puerto Rico commits a defender to follow Clark everywhere, and the offense has no built-in counters, no quick screens to free her, no pace to make the shadow defender pay, no designed actions that punish the aggressive coverage, it exposes a philosophical limitation. The ball sticks, the sets grind. Clark's shooting goes cold because the looks she is getting are contested and late. You beat a box in 1 with ball movement, off-ball screens, pace, and misdirection. All the things that happen naturally when an offense is built to weaponize its best playmaker. But the system is not doing those things for Clark. It asks her to operate within it, not the other way around. And against a team smart enough to scheme specifically against her, the difference shows. Clark does not complain. She does not pout on the bench. She does not give reporters a sound bite about wanting more minutes or a bigger role. She plays within the system, does what she is asked, and when the final buzzer sounds, she walks off the floor the same way she walked on, professional, composed, team first. Remember, this is the player who told reporters before the tournament that she was not going to come out here and expect to be the star. She meant it. But there is a difference between humility and underutilization. Clark's shooting percentages in this game are not about ability. They are about circumstance. 18 minutes in a slow-paced system against a defense designed to exploit exactly that limitation. After the game, Lawson addresses the media. A reporter asks about Clark's role. The answer is measured. Depth, contributions, the process of building a team, no mention of the box in 1, no discussion of the shooting numbers, no reference to the records Clark broke 24 hours earlier, a non-answer delivered with the practice smoothness of a coach choosing which questions not to engage with. And yet, and this is the part that should make you sit up straight, even with the Puerto Rico game dragging her shooting splits down, even coming off the bench for every game so far, Clark still leads Team USA in efficiency for the tournament at this point. Bench minutes, limited role, a defense built to erase her, and the advanced metrics still say she is the most impactful player on the roster. That is not a stat you can coach around. That is a stat that coaches the coach. Tibbetts unlocks Clark and then the coaching changed. Now I need to be precise about what actually happened here because the internet turned this into something it was not. Kara Lawson did not get fired. She did not disappear under mysterious circumstances. She did not get pulled because of the Clark situation. Here is the reality. This was always the plan. Lawson is the head coach at Duke and the NCAA tournament was about to begin. USA Basketball announced before the tournament even started that Lawson would coach the first games and then hand the reins to an assistant for the remaining ones so she could fly back to Durham for Selection Sunday. It was on schedule. It was public knowledge. But here is why the timing matters and why the story is still fascinating even without the conspiracy theories. The coach who steps into the lead chair is Nate Tibbetts, the head coach of the Phoenix Mercury.
Nate Tibbetts was formally introduced on Friday as the new head coach of the Phoenix Mercury.
He was already on the staff as an assistant. He had watched every minute of every game from the sideline. He had seen the offense grind under the slow half-court system. He had watched Puerto Rico's box and turn Clark into a spectator. He had the data, the film, and the front row seat. And the very first decision Nate Tibbetts makes as acting head coach tells you everything. He puts Caitlin Clark in the starting lineup. Think about that. His very first move, not a gradual adjustment, not a committee decision phased in over multiple games. He looks at the roster, looks at the film, and says, she starts. That is the whole adjustment. No complicated scheme, no long installation period, no easing her in over the next 2 games.
Team USA coach Nate Tibbetts took the podium to address for Caitlin Clark to finally become the starter.
Tibbetts brings 12 seasons of NBA coaching experience and a fiery direct communication style that the players respond to immediately. After his first game, Ryan Howard praised his ability to step into the lead role on short notice, highlighting his intensity and his clarity. No players said there was no confusion about what he wanted. He made sure they stayed engaged, stayed locked in, and understood the game plan from the first huddle, and the game plan was simple. Let the talent play. Clark controls offense. March 14, 2026, Game 3, Italy, and Nate Tibbetts is standing on the sideline in the lead chair for the very first time. Before we talk about what Tibbetts changes, note what he does not change. Clark does not start the Italy game. She comes off the bench again. Tibbetts is not blowing up the rotation on day 1. He is adjusting the philosophy within the existing structure, and the adjustment is immediate. Lawson's first 2 games featured predetermined 5-in, 5-out hockey-style substitutions, swapping all 5 players at once. It was organized and democratic. But it meant Clark was operating in a sealed unit, never mixing with certain combinations, never building the kind of on-court chemistry that develops when a point guard runs with different lineups throughout a game. Tibbetts scraps that approach. He staggers his rotations. He mixes veterans with newcomers. He lets Clark share the floor with Kelsey Plum and Chelsea Gray at different points, giving the offense multiple playmakers who can read and react in real time. The 5-in, 5-out system is gone. In its place, actual basketball rotations where players earn minutes based on what is happening on the floor. The result against Italy is emphatic. Clark finishes with 12 points on 4 of 5 shooting, 80% from the field, and including 2 of 3 from long range, plus 5 assists and 5 rebounds in just under 23 minutes. Her plus-minus is a team-high plus 27. That number is almost absurd. Every minute she is on the floor, Team USA is outscoring Italy by nearly 1.5 points. Colio Copper leads the scoring with 15 points. Butcher adds 12. USA wins 93-59. It is Team USA 93, Italy 59.